Ladies and gentlemen, today we gather to celebrate a force that has quietly shaped our world from the very beginning, her power, her voice. The influence of women is often unseen, yet it is as essential to our lives as the air we breathe. Her strength isn't rooted in domination but in compassion, resilience, and grace. Every time a woman speaks, she carries the wisdom of generations, shaping not only the present but the future. Her voice is the sound of creation, connection, and balance, a reminder of the harmony that binds us all. Let us take this moment to reflect on what it means to truly listen to her voice and recognize the power within it to shape a better, more compassionate world. The feminine spirit has always been a quiet force shaping the world, existing in the background yet profoundly influencing the foundation of life. This spirit often goes unseen, unacknowledged, yet it is woven into everything that sustains, nurtures, and elevates humanity. When we speak of feminine power, we aren't merely talking about the physical presence of women in the world, we're speaking of an ancient energy that has carried cultures, communities, and families forward generation by generation. This is a power that has traditionally been misunderstood, overlooked, or undervalued, but its essence is intrinsic to everything we know about resilience, adaptability, and the life force itself. Unlike power rooted in dominance or control, the feminine spirit embodies a power of grace, patience, and unyielding strength that manifests quietly yet enduringly. It is the strength that creates and preserves, that heals and connects. This spirit often works in ways that are subtle, invisible to the eye, yet indispensable to the heart of humanity. The feminine spirit, whether in the form of a mother, a sister, a mentor, or even an ancestral presence, carries forward wisdom that teaches us resilience in the face of adversity and empathy in moments of need. She is the foundation of compassion in our communities, a cornerstone of hope and understanding, and the silent engine that moves us toward a more inclusive and harmonious world. The feminine spirit also embodies a unique power of transformation. Just as water shapes stone over time, the feminine spirit works to gently reshape the world around it, honoring the natural cycle of growth, decay, and rebirth. It is a force that, even when invisible, refuses to be diminished. This power is inherent in the ways women historically have maintained the traditions, stories, and values of their communities. Even in times of hardship, this spirit finds ways to thrive, to turn loss into wisdom, suffering into compassion, and adversity into strength. She shows us that power is not just about external accomplishments, it's about the quiet inner work that brings true, lasting change. In every act of nurturing and every display of resilience, the feminine spirit reveals itself as a vital force, reminding us of the beauty of a power that doesn't seek attention or accolades but works for the good of all. It is in the simple yet profound ways women impact our lives, through a mother's encouragement, a sister's support, a friend's understanding, or a leader's compassion. Each of these expressions of the feminine spirit leaves a lasting impression, shaping us and helping us to grow. To recognize the unseen potential of the feminine spirit is to acknowledge a different kind of strength, one that does not fit into traditional molds of power, but that redefines what it means to be strong. It's a reminder that the qualities of empathy, patience, and grace are not signs of weakness, but are qualities that have held societies together and will continue to be the backbone of our shared humanity. The feminine spirit calls for a world where such qualities are not only recognized but celebrated as essential to life itself. When we honor this spirit, we honor the very essence of life, the unseen but undeniable energy that connects us all and shapes the world in ways we may not always see, but that we certainly feel. The idea of interconnectedness reminds us that nothing in this world exists in isolation. Everything is part of a larger whole, interwoven into a tapestry that holds all life together. From the trees that produce the oxygen we breathe, to the oceans that regulate our climate, to the people we encounter daily, our lives are deeply enmeshed in systems of relationships, dependencies, and shared existence. When we look at life from this perspective, we see that every thought, action, and even intention reverberates through the world around us. It is this interconnectedness that binds us, making each individual both a unique expression of life and a vital component of something far greater than themselves. To understand interconnectedness is to recognize that every person we encounter and every place we inhabit are part of us, just as we are part of them. Our identities are shaped by the communities we belong to, the landscapes we live in, and the relationships we nurture. We influence and are influenced, just as a river shapes the land it flows through, even as it is itself shaped by the rocks and soil it encounters. In this way, our lives are never solitary, even when we might feel alone. We are all engaged in an intricate dance with each other and the natural world, one that is constantly changing, renewing, and evolving. The interconnectedness also reveals to us the deeper, often unseen ways in which we are affected by those around us and by the world at large. Each decision we make creates ripples that extend far beyond our immediate circle. Acts of kindness, for example, tend to spark further kindness, spreading through networks of people in ways that are almost impossible to trace, yet undeniably impactful. In the same way, acts of harm or neglect also carry forward, creating waves of suffering that may not immediately return to us, but that affect the world we all share. Through this lens, we see that our responsibility to each other is profound. We carry a shared duty to foster compassion, care, and respect, not only for our own benefit, but for the benefit of all beings. Moreover, understanding interconnectedness invites us to look beyond the apparent boundaries that often divide us. Labels of race, nationality, religion, and gender can sometimes seem to place barriers between people. But when we see each other as interconnected beings, these boundaries become less significant, replaced by an awareness of our common humanity. We come to realize that each person's struggles, joys, and dreams mirror our own, and that their well-being is intrinsically tied to ours. We cannot truly thrive in a world where others suffer, nor can we ignore the damage done to the environment without ultimately feeling its effects ourselves. In the natural world, interconnectedness is evident in ecosystems that rely on each species to maintain balance. The extinction of one species disrupts the delicate harmony, leading to unforeseen consequences for all. Similarly, our societies are built on interdependent systems that require mutual support, understanding, and cooperation. Interconnectedness is, in essence, the underlying principle that sustains life, teaching us that isolation is an illusion. When we embrace this understanding, we become more compassionate, recognizing that what we do to others, we do to ourselves. In the end, acknowledging interconnectedness invites us to live with a greater sense of awareness and gratitude. We come to see that every experience, every interaction, every breath is a part of a shared journey. It is an invitation to treat life with reverence, knowing that we are all threads in the same beautiful, intricate tapestry. By honoring this truth, we contribute to a world where all beings can thrive together, each supporting and enriching the other in ways both seen and unseen. Women's voices have a unique, transformative influence that transcends boundaries of time, geography, and culture, carrying an enduring strength that resonates across generations. Often when a woman speaks, she speaks not only for herself, but also for the countless women who have come before her and those who will come after. Her words are informed by a legacy of resilience, wisdom, and hard-won experience, creating an impact that is not limited to a single moment or place, but ripples outward in ways that shape communities, societies, and even entire nations. Women's voices have always been an integral part of social change, championing rights, justice, and equality, whether or not they are immediately recognized or celebrated. Women's voices have often defied the constraints imposed by society, breaking through cultural and societal barriers that would seek to silence them. They have spoken up in times when doing so required immense courage, and their words have brought about shifts in thinking that have redefined societal norms and opened up new possibilities for future generations. From activism to literature, politics to education, women's voices have persistently pushed the boundaries of what is possible, challenging assumptions and inspiring others to do the same. When we consider the profound changes in human rights, freedom, and equality throughout history, we find women's voices as a constant, courageous presence advocating for a better, fairer world. Women's voices also hold the power to bridge divides, bringing people together across divides of race, class, and belief. Often the perspective that women bring, rooted in experiences of empathy, nurturing, and community building, enables them to communicate in ways that resonate deeply with others. They see beyond divisions, recognizing shared humanity and universal struggles. Through this inclusive perspective, women create dialogues that transcend the usual boundaries, fostering understanding and empathy. This is not just about the power of words, it's about the ability to connect on a human level, to make others feel seen, heard, and valued, regardless of differences. In many cultures, women have also been the custodians of tradition and history, passing down values, stories, and wisdom through the generations. In doing so, they preserve the essence of a culture while also reshaping it to reflect changing times. This intergenerational transmission is powerful. It ensures that knowledge and values are not lost, even as societies evolve. Women's voices are the vessels of continuity, linking the past with the future, and helping communities remember where they have come from even as they imagine where they are going. Yet the influence of women's voices is not limited to words alone. Through their actions, women demonstrate leadership and strength, often in spaces where they are not traditionally visible or celebrated. By standing up and speaking out, by leading with empathy, and by fostering communities grounded in mutual respect, women inspire those around them to pursue justice and equality. Their influence goes beyond what is spoken, manifesting in the lives they touch, the movements they inspire, and the systemic changes they set in motion. In honoring the influence of women's voices, we are invited to acknowledge a powerful truth: when women are empowered to speak freely, society as a whole becomes more inclusive, empathetic, and just. Their voices call forth a world that recognizes the inherent dignity and value of every individual. In this way, women's voices go beyond any one identity or boundary. They speak to the heart of humanity, to our collective dreams of a world where everyone has the freedom to thrive. And so when we listen to women's voices, we are not only listening to them, we are listening to the pulse of a future shaped by wisdom, resilience, and compassion. Creation is one of the most profound expressions of life, embodying a sacred power that is woven into the very fabric of existence. This power of creation is not limited to physical birth. It includes the capacity to bring forth new ideas, innovations, art, and entire worlds of meaning. It is a force that invites transformation, renewal, and the continuous unfolding of potential. Creation is the essence of life itself, a gift that nurtures the spirit and opens the door to growth and change, from the smallest moment of inspiration to the grandest act of building societies and cultures. The sacred power of creation is particularly profound because it allows us to bring something new into existence from seemingly nothing. Whether we're creating art, a solution to a problem, or even an atmosphere of understanding and compassion, we are tapping into an energy that is limitless in potential. Through creation, we find a way to bridge the internal world with the external, turning thoughts and visions into something tangible and real. This process often requires courage, as creation frequently involves stepping into the unknown, embracing uncertainty, and allowing something greater than ourselves to work through us. In creation, we witness transformation not only in what we make, but within ourselves as creators. Women, in particular, have long been associated with this sacred power of creation. From the literal act of bringing new life into the world to the figurative acts of creating nurturing environments, communities, and movements, women embody creation in ways that shape society at every level. This creative power is not limited to motherhood. It encompasses the ability to create spaces of safety, understanding, and growth. In every culture, women have served as storytellers, artists, healers, and leaders, using their creative abilities to preserve knowledge, build relationships, and inspire future generations. This ability to create is often underestimated, but it has been a fundamental force for change and resilience throughout history. Creation is sacred because it mirrors the cycles of nature: the birth, life, death, and rebirth that is inherent in all things. Just as a tree grows from a seed, giving life to countless other organisms and eventually returning to the earth to nourish new growth, creation is a cycle that enriches all of life. This cycle of creativity and renewal is found everywhere, from the world of nature to our own minds and hearts. When we create, we are participating in this universal rhythm, giving life to something new and in turn enriching the world around us. This connection to a larger process reminds us that we are part of something greater than ourselves. The power of creation also calls us to responsibility. What we create, whether it be physical objects, ideas, relationships, or even emotions, has an impact on others and on the world. Creation is not an isolated act, it is a shared one, for everything we bring into existence resonates within the web of life. This awareness of interconnectedness gives our acts of creation a sense of purpose and meaning. It urges us to create with intention, to understand that what we bring into the world can nurture, inspire, or uplift, just as it can harm or hinder. Ultimately, the sacred power of creation is a reminder of our inherent potential to transform ourselves and the world. It invites us to honor our capacity to create beauty, to solve problems, and to connect with others in meaningful ways. Creation is an act of hope, a way of bringing forth light in darkness, and a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Through this power, we are given the opportunity to contribute something of ourselves to the world, to leave behind a legacy of growth, compassion, and understanding. Creation, in its sacredness, is the ultimate expression of our shared humanity, a bridge between the mundane and the divine, and an invitation to participate fully in the miracle of life. The wisdom of balance is one of life's most profound teachings, a guiding principle that reveals itself in the rhythms of nature, the relationships we nurture, and the inner peace we seek. Balance is a dynamic state, not a fixed one. It requires continuous attention, flexibility, and awareness. In every moment, we are called to recognize and respond to the subtle, often shifting equilibrium within ourselves and in the world around us. Balance is not about perfection or rigid stability. It is about finding harmony within life's complexities, holding both light and dark, strength and vulnerability, in ways that honor the full spectrum of experience. In nature, balance is essential for ecosystems to thrive. Forests, rivers, oceans, and entire habitats rely on the balance of all life forms to maintain health and vitality. When any element is thrown off balance, there are ripple effects throughout the whole system. Similarly, in our own lives, balance is the foundation for well-being. Just as a plant needs the right amounts of sunlight and water to grow, we too need a harmonious blend of work and rest, solitude and connection, action and reflection. Balance in this way teaches us that excess and deprivation, in any form, disrupt the natural flow of life. By tuning into this rhythm, we align ourselves with a force that is both powerful and deeply nourishing. In relationships, balance is the art of giving and receiving, of supporting others while also caring for ourselves. It involves understanding when to speak and when to listen, when to offer guidance and when to simply be present. Relationships built on balance are those that are resilient, where both people feel valued and seen, where love is mutual and respect is reciprocated. This kind of balance requires self-awareness, empathy, and the ability to hold space for both one's own needs and the needs of others. When we cultivate balance in relationships, we build bonds that are capable of weathering the challenges of life, rooted in a shared commitment to growth and understanding. Inner balance, perhaps the most personal aspect of this wisdom, involves harmonizing our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It is an ongoing practice of self-regulation, of knowing when to push forward and when to pause, when to allow ourselves to feel deeply and when to step back to gain perspective. In a world that often encourages extremes, whether it's relentless productivity or constant consumption, inner balance reminds us to honor the quieter parts of ourselves, to listen to our own rhythms, and to respect the limits of our energy. This kind of balance is about self-compassion and self-care, about understanding that we are whole, even as we are continually evolving. The wisdom of balance also shows us that opposites are not necessarily in conflict, they are, in fact, complementary. Strength and softness, discipline and freedom, ambition and contentment, each needs the other to be fully expressed. Just as the sun rises and sets, giving way to night and day in an endless cycle, we too can embrace life's dualities. Balance helps us to live fully, acknowledging all parts of ourselves without judgment or fear. It is not about choosing one side or rejecting the other, but about integrating all aspects of life into a cohesive whole. Ultimately, balance is a path toward wisdom, one that encourages us to see the interconnectedness of all things. It teaches us that every choice we make affects not only our own well-being, but also the world around us. In practicing balance, we become more grounded, more compassionate, and more at peace with the ever-changing flow of life. This wisdom invites us to walk gently, to act with purpose, and to hold space for all the beauty and complexity that life offers. Through balance, we find a sense of harmony that resonates deeply, a reminder that in honoring both ourselves and the world, we contribute to a life that is richer, fuller, and profoundly meaningful. Reclaiming her voice in all of us means reconnecting with the qualities of empathy, compassion, and resilience that are central to a balanced world. Throughout history, women's voices have been instrumental in shaping communities, fostering understanding, and challenging the status quo. Yet in many societies, these voices have been stifled, diminished, or overlooked. Reclaiming her voice is about honoring and amplifying the influence of the feminine spirit within each of us, regardless of gender. This voice is not just a call for equality, it is an invitation to rediscover the humanity in all of us, a way to harmonize strength with compassion and assertiveness with understanding. Her voice embodies qualities that have long been devalued, such as nurturing, healing, and creating spaces for others to flourish. These are not passive qualities, but profoundly active forces that are vital for a thriving society. In reclaiming her voice, we allow these qualities to be seen not as secondary or supporting, but as integral to our collective growth and success. Her voice speaks to the need for balance in a world often dominated by aggression, competition, and individualism. It reminds us that true strength can coexist with empathy, that leadership can be shared, and that collaboration is as essential as ambition. This reclamation also acknowledges the ways in which her voice has been silenced not only in public life, but within our personal identities. Many of us have internalized messages that discourage vulnerability, that see caregiving as secondary, or that place less value on emotional intelligence. Reclaiming her voice is an act of unlearning these constraints, allowing ourselves to embrace qualities that nurture life, sustain communities, and inspire connection. It is a process of returning to a more authentic expression of ourselves, one that honors both our strengths and our tenderness. In this way, reclaiming her voice is not merely a social movement, it is an invitation to personal transformation and healing. When we listen to her voice within us, we also become more attuned to the needs of others and to the world itself. Her voice speaks for the vulnerable, the marginalized, and the earth, urging us to protect, respect, and uplift. It encourages us to take responsibility for the impact of our actions, to consider the well-being of others, and to approach life with a sense of stewardship rather than dominion. In this way, reclaiming her voice is an ethical call, a reminder that our lives are deeply interconnected, and that our true legacy lies in the care we extend to one another and to the planet. Reclaiming her voice in all of us does not diminish other forms of expression, rather, it enhances and enriches them. It brings balance, providing a counterweight to the forces that often dominate our lives and our societies. Her voice complements, harmonizes, and creates space for greater diversity in thought, perspective, and experience. It teaches us that leadership can be compassionate, that wisdom can be gentle, and that power can be shared. Ultimately, reclaiming her voice is about creating a world where every voice is heard and valued. It is about building communities that celebrate diversity, foster equality, and encourage each person to express their unique gifts. By reclaiming her voice, we restore a sense of harmony and balance that benefits everyone. Her voice in all its forms speaks to the core of our humanity and reminds us that when we uplift others, we uplift ourselves. In honoring and reclaiming her voice, we create a world rooted in empathy, strength, and a shared vision for a future where all can thrive.